Now, time for my favorite discussion on the Sports PSP podcast, Babyface heel. Now, for those who may not know what Babyface heel means in wrestling terminology, Babyface is a good guy hero, a heel is a bad guy villain, and a tweener is someone in between Babyface and heel. So, me and the panel, we come up with a list of athletes or celebrities, and we're going to decide whether they are a Babyface heel or tweener. First one, Michael Jordan. By many the GOAT. I say tweener.
Okay.
Some may say babyface because his aura, his presence, the 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, never let a game 7 come to his watch, his heart, his greatness, his airness, but also tweener. Because remember, in the Last Dance documentary, he did say, I'm afraid I'm going to be viewed or perceived as a bad guy. Michael wasn't always the greatest teammate in the world. Sometimes he treated his teammates like shit. Look no further than Horace Grant. Do you remember the story of Horace Grant, champ? The airplane situation in which the flight attendant, they were serving the rest of the team food, and Michael told the flight attendant, don't serve him any food because he played like shit.
Yeah.
The other knock on Michael Jordan, and look, say whatever you want about LeBron James off the court. One thing you cannot say about him off the court is that he's not outspoken. Jordan, on the other hand, remember, Republicans buy sneakers too. And we all know this, and we all know the situation in North Carolina. However, I will give Michael Jordan credit, though. He is becoming more outspoken about social issues. And remember, he talked at great length about the George Floyd statement. You can, if you want to right now, champ, you can look at the statement he made about with George Floyd and all the situations back in 2020. This is during the COVID pandemic and also with Black Lives Matter. It was a hell of a lot better statement than Tiger Woods' statement, because in the aftermath of George Floyd, Tiger Woods said, my heart goes out to George Floyd, his family, and his loved ones. I have always had the utmost respect for our law enforcement. They train so diligently how, when, and where to use force. That was the statement from Tiger Woods back in 2020 after what happened with George Floyd. I say tweener with Michael. I can understand those who say babyface because Michael, his aura, people talked about how when they're around Jordan, I don't like using the comparison, but it's kind of like God in some people's eyes of how he was perceived with the Jordan brand, with the shoes, the airness. But he's also a tweeter. And plus, let's not forget Isaiah Thomas. He was one of the reasons that Isaiah was not on the Dream Team back in 1992. But a lot of people did not want Isaiah Thomas. Karl Malone, Charles Barkley. I don't think Magic Johnson or Isaiah didn't want him. Neither did Scottie Pippen.
Mm-mm.
But Michael Jordan definitely played a role for keeping Isaiah Thomas out of the Dream Team. And that was wrong. Again, no disrespect, no knock to John Stockton. But Zeke definitely belonged up there. And when you look at his time with the Charlotte Hornets as an owner, greatest basketball player, but at the same time, horrible owner. Why do you think Jerry Krause, rest his soul, said players don't win championships, organizations do? And considering the type of shit and treatment he received from Michael during their time in Chicago. So I say tweener with Michael. I respect and admire him as an athlete, him working on his craft, perfecting his craft. But at the same time, they look at, and of course, let's not forget Atlantic City with the whole gambling situation, and then the retiring. They're gonna look at that as well. I say tweener. So whoever wants to go.
Babyface. Look, I know we all hate, and let's just be real. We all hate that asshole teacher. We all hate the asshole teammate. We all hate the asshole coworker. We all hate the asshole. But that's the person who brings the best out of us. That's the person who brings Mr. Hall, God rest his soul, one of my greatest teachers of all time, Vietnam vet, when I was in 7th grade. I love to play around. He said, don't come around. And he used to always tell me, don't bring them damn jokes in my classroom. Because even back then, I was a jokester. Don't bring them damn jokes in my classroom. You're a straight A student, act like one. One of my best friends, won't say his real name, but when I say his name, he'll know. C100 from the Wolf Pack. One of the biggest asses that I've known this guy since I was like 12 years old. He is an ass. But this dude will just work my damn nerve because, like I said, I play around. Like I said, hey, I'll play around, and guess what? It's kind of like that Randy Moss / Shaq effect. Look, when it's time to be ready, I'll be ready. But for now, I'm gonna play around. But when my grades slipped, even when I made B's, he would always say, "Hey man, you know what? You do better than that shit, man. I know you made an 80 on the damn test when you could have made that. You just didn't want to study." I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's a B though. My parents ain't gonna say that. I'm still on honor roll, making all B's and still honor roll. Man, you can do better than that, man. Nobody's trying to hear that shit. You need people like that to bring the best out of you. If you ask any person who is successful, ask them who brought the best out of them. Was it the guy who slacked off just like them, or was it the serious guy? Ask yourself that. Ask any successful person. If you want to look no further than a person who was deemed as an asshole but was very, very loving and caring, look at Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World. Look how tough he was on his students. Look how tough he was on his neighbors. Look how tough he was on the families. But look how much he bought the best out of. Just because you're an asshole, that doesn't mean that you are just terrible. Guess what? Sometimes you have to be that way because nobody else around here is taking charge. Sometimes you have to be that way. Like nobody's taking charge. Nobody's doing anything. Everybody's kind of do their own thing. Okay, I have to be the bad guy now. And when you're winning, guess what? You can get away with being a little bit of an ass. So just because someone was an ass and gambled and played cards and was kind of a rough around the edges type of guy doesn't mean that you don't necessarily have to be the good guy. The great words of Thanos, sometimes the toughest decision require the strongest wills. And that's what I think it is. Like I stated, there's a lot of friends that I have around me now that I'm grateful for because guess what, man? I love my playful friends. I love them all. Love them, all y'all. But when I know when it's time to get something done, I always go to my asshole friends. Hey man, I already know I gotta get this done. Because they're not gonna let me play around with a project I got going on. They're gonna stay on me about it. Hey man, you did this, you did this, you did this. Not that they have to, but the thing is, they're gonna ask me about it. They're gonna hold me accountable. There's a level of accountability when you're trying to be great. There's a level of accountability that you have to have. And guess what, man? When people are on you like that, they know there's something in you. Some people are not buttholes just for the sake of being one. Some people say, hey, man, you need to stop bullshitting because guess what? You're one of the best players in the league. Why the hell are you only averaging 13 points where you can average 21? Yeah. As far as him not speaking up on social issues, people need to do a lot more research, not talk about you, PSP, but people need to do a lot more research because he's been silently building free clinics for the longest.
And he's also done a lot of philanthropy as well, too. Yes. So it's interesting to me, Chad. You call MJ a babyface, but you said Kobe a tweener.
Yeah, Kobe is a tweener. And the reason why I said that
because of
the case.
Right. But I understand that part. But Kobe wasn't the most lovable teammate in the world either.
No, he wasn't. And I would have looked. 4 people when I was playing basketball, I said I would have loved to have played for. 4. Played for or with. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, the coach from Georgetown.
John Thompson, Russell.
And last but not least, here's the coach that I would have loved to play for the most. I would love to play for Bobby Knight. I would play for Bobby Knight. Because the thing is, like I say, I know that I'm going to be held accountable. If you really look at Shaq, the thing about Shaq is this. Yes, he played around a lot. But when Phil Jackson and Coach Dale put him in check, he made sure that he respected their authority. When they pushed his ass into a fire, guess what? He went into the fire with guns blazing. When Coach Dale down there in LSU lit a fire up on him, after he said LSU meant Little Shaq, Little University, he said, hell no. I expect for you to be on time. LSU stands for Louisiana State University, and you will act like it. Even Shaq will tell you that. When you have authority figures around you and you have generals that stay strong, much like his father.
Versus Sergeant Philip Harrison.
Exactly. When you have generals around you, guess what? All the time you're not going to be deemed as the good guy. And that's fine. There's a very special person, another special person that's very special to me. I won't say their name. They're very close to me. Been around me all my life. They were not always, look, you're not always going to be deemed as friendly. Just because you're the friendliest guy doesn't mean you're the nicest guy. There's a lot of quote unquote nice guys out there, but they really shitbags. Let's just be perfectly honest with you. But
except Mick Foley.
Except Mick Foley. But that's another story for another day. But when you have generals, strong generals who stand strong and stand firm and don't allow you to slack off, you bring the best out of him. He brought the best out of Dennis Rodman. He brought the best out of Ron Harper. Brought the best out of Scottie Pippen. Sometimes you have to be the bad guy in order to bring the best out of your guys. And my thing is, look, I bet you, look, I'm going to just be real. If nobody ever told me Prince donated so much money to charity, bailed out students, did a lot of things for the community, I never would have known those things, because guess what? Prince was a Jehovah's Witness. He wasn't allowed to say what he had did, but it was reported. A lot of times, just because you're silent about an issue doesn't mean that you agree. A lot of times your best work can be behind the scenes about something and people don't even know that you're doing it. That's why I brought up the fact that Michael Jordan, he's been building free hospitals throughout the state of North Carolina ever since his playing career. And these days in free healthcare, that's a rarity. Those are free health clinics for his community.
And to be clear, Chad, when I say Michael not speaking up, in no way I am calling Michael out and calling him a sellout or anything like that. So I want to get the record straight on that.
Yeah.
I just figured, Michael, at the height and prime of your career, even though what you mentioned, Cham, as far as if there's charitable donations, yes. But at the same time, Michael, you could have brought more awareness. Remember Craig Hodges? Remember one of his teammates that was at the White House? Remember the type of outfit that he wore and how he wanted Michael and Magic to use their platforms to speak up?
Yeah, during the LA riots, they wanted them to walk off the floor. They said it was too extreme. But like I stated, you'll be surprised what happened behind the scenes. Magic Johnson did stuff behind the scenes. Michael Jordan did stuff behind the scenes. Like I stated, just because you're silent and people don't, a lot of times, look, I'll use this as an example. A lot of people help me behind the scenes and you'll never know it, including the two men that are sitting right in front of me right now, whether it be moral support, whether it be a good pep talk or anything. Everything that you do don't always have to be blasted in front of everybody. Everything that you do don't always have to be blasted in front of everybody. The gifts that people give you ain't always got to be blasted in front of everybody. And that's the thing. And when I found out how long he's been given to certain charities and certain causes ever since that he was in the NBA, it kind of shocked me, because the only thing you hear that goes back to my phrase, 1,000 attaboys is erased by one R shit. The only thing you hear about Jordan is that one R shit when he says Republicans buy sneakers too. But the thing is, he endorsed a Democrat in the form of Bill Bradley, who was a former player for the New York Knicks. But people don't talk about that. He endorsed him as president. He endorsed him as a candidate. Bill Bradley, you know, the All-American Bill Bradley, played for the New York Knicks. He endorsed him. People don't talk about that part. They only talk about Republicans buy sneakers too. They don't talk about the part where he endorsed Bill Bradley. So, yeah. And plus, you got to think about this. During that time, Jordan was still early in his career at this point. Jordan's still early in his career. Of course, your mentality back then is not going to be where it is when you're 30, 40 years old. Of course it's not. Of course you're thinking about protecting everything because, you know, you're thinking about not just you, you're thinking about everybody around you. People, there's a common misconception when you have a blessing or something was placed onto you that the only thing you're thinking about is yourself. Hell no, I'm thinking about the people that's around me. If a fight happened outside my door, and guess what? All three of y'all are there. I know I could beat this dude's ass outside and stop the fight. You think I'm finna go fight him? Hell no, because I got to think about what's gonna happen if he pulls out a gun or if we got an endorsement contract. Y'all get hurt. Now they pulled the endorsement. Not everybody else is hurt. Hurt not only physically but financially as well. So it's bigger than you either way.
And plus, also, Michael, because he wanted to perfect his craft, he was so dedicated to his passion, which was basketball. So it's not like Michael. Would I like to hear Michael speak about these types of issues back then during the prime of his career, champ? It would have. It wouldn't have hurt. It would. I mean, you would have loved to hear what Michael had to say. He didn't need to be Muhammad Ali. He didn't need to be Malcolm X. He didn't need to be Dr. King. He didn't need to be Rosa Parks or anything like that. It would have been nice if we had heard him say something, at least.
And we heard him, and we did hear him. We did hear him at one point. He spoke up for none other. No, he stuck up for no other than a man who was blackballed from the league within itself. He spoke up for Chris Jackson, aka Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, when he was.
Remember when he left 29 years old, and remember not only that, his house was burned down.
Yes, he spoke up for him. He was like, "Hey, if that's what his religious belief and that's what he believed, he should be allowed to express that." So people always pick out that whole Republicans buy sneakers as well. They always pick that out and say, "Well, he was never involved," but they don't ever pick out him endorsing Bill Bradley. They don't ever pick out him speaking up for Mahmoud Abdul Rauf or anything of that nature. So yeah.
Okay, but what about him keeping Isaiah Thomas out of the Dream Team? Now, again, it wasn't just him; there was a lot of other people as well too.
Okay, 1984.
But he denied it on the Last Dance documentary. But then there was the audio tape.
Okay, but here it is. Back in 1984, let me clean myself up real good. Back in 1984, Jordan is a rookie in the NBA. Go back and look this up. There was a freeze out of Michael Jordan where it seems like everybody made sure that he didn't get the ball during the All-Star game. Go back and look up the Jordan freeze out. And it was rumored to have been led by Isaiah Thomas. Because remember, during that year, Jordan wore a lot of Nike paraphernalia. It was, look, when you talk about Caitlin Clark and the jealousy that she experienced in the W, that shit was times a million when Michael Jordan came into the league. Because he had all the Nike paraphernalia, he had the hottest shoes on, everything. And they froze him out of the All-Star game. Go back and look up the Jordan freeze out. Everybody talks about the Jordan freeze out back during the All-Star game in 1984, during his rookie.
No, I'm not arguing this, but not only that, the Eastern Conference Finals, because remember, Detroit beat them the first two times, but when Chicago swept them, remember, they didn't shake hands.
Exactly.
And Michael Jordan had to do an interview Game 7 in which they lost.
Yeah. And look, you got to think about this too. It wasn't just one person admitted that he kept Isaiah off the team. You know who that was? Magic Johnson, because he called up his when Magic Johnson had his announcement, which we will not say on the air. When he had his announcement, go look up the call. Go look up Magic versus Bird. The courtship of rivals, and look up after he made his announcement that he was retiring. And look who made a call to Magic Johnson's agent asking about certain things when it came to Magic Johnson after he made that announcement. So it wasn't just Jordan who kept him off that team. He had fallen out with Magic as well. He fell out of favor with him, who was his best friend, and they used to hug and kiss on the cheek on the court and before every game. Fell out of favor with him because of that incident right there. You froze Jordan out. You didn't shake hands at the end of the game, regardless of what people say about you. Guess what? Go ahead, shake hands, walk off the floor. And guess what? Hey, there was a lot of things that you did as well in order to freeze him out of that All-Star game. So, okay, you win the battle. I'm going to win the war. Guess what? I'm not for clapping back. I always have a mentality, just because I don't retaliate to something doesn't mean that I forgot. But if you want to get your lick back, I'm all for it. And guess what? If you want to freeze me out of an all-star game because you think I'm bigger than you coming in as a rookie, fine and well. But when my name gets bigger than yours and it's time for me to speak up for you, you know what I'm going to tell you? In the great words of Bruce Wayne, I don't have to hurt you, but I damn sure don't have to save you. So I'm not saving you from this ostracizing that people don't already want you on this team. The press and the media and the choosers didn't already want him on that team in the first place because he was on the Bad Boy Pistons. The style was not exciting basketball in the first place. They was deemed the bad boys for a reason. Then you walked off the court. And I remember the fact that you froze me out of the All-Star game. I remember all of that. So now that it's my turn, do not start crying. I always say this. What's so funny about that with Isaiah Thomas? There's an old saying by the man who raised me by the name of Johnny Pryor. He always says this. He always told me this. The first one that never wants to give mercy be the first motherfucker who begged for some. And that's what's the case with Isaiah Thomas. You never gave mercy or grace when Michael Jordan was in his younger days. You froze him out of that All-Star game. You said a lot of stuff about him around the way, and guess what? You're still doing it. So now that it's time for us to choose this Olympic team, okay, you showed me no mercy. You didn't show me the grace that I deserve after I beat you, and you didn't show me the grace that I showed you even when you was beating me. Okay, my turn. No grace for you, and I don't blame him. Like I said, I have a rule. Guess what? Just because you don't retaliate doesn't mean I forgot. I forget about it, and guess what? I'm gonna let you go on about your way from there. That way, I don't end up retaliating. But guess what? I'm all about somebody getting their lick back. And if you get your lick back by keeping somebody off the Olympic team after they froze you out, didn't want to shake hands, and on top of that, insulted Magic Johnson the way you did, guess what? You got what you deserve. I don't have no problem with it.
I'm not sure the Lord would like that because I'm just saying the Lord would probably say, "Hey, forgive and move on." I mean, you ain't got to be friends with them, but at the same time, two wrongs don't make a right, though.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't have that mentality. Like I said, I have
Other people may not, though. Other people may not.
I don't retaliate. Don't mean I forgot. I just leave you alone because I have to leave you alone after you do something heinous. I don't have that mentality. But if somebody else chooses to take that route, I ain't got no problem with it. Go ahead, do your thing.
Okay, what about what he did to Jerry Krause, though? How the way he treated Jerry Krause?
Well, that was inexcusable. I really cannot argue with that. But at the same time, I will say this. The thing is this. He was absolutely right. Jerry Krause, players and coaches are wrong, don't win championship. Organizations win championships. Because if it wasn't for Jerry Krause,
and remember, he was booed. When he was, do you remember when he was booed when the Bulls celebrated him? When the Bulls brought him up to commemorate for the championships and stuff, he was booed.
Yeah, he was booed. And guess what? People don't understand something. Jerry Krause was right. He had to get rid of that team in order to rebuild. Unfortunately, he was not able to rebuild and win a championship, but he was able to rebuild because the average age of that team was 36 years old. You're not going to win very much anymore. So Jerry Krause is absolutely right in dismantling that team. The only way to get through and get through the salary cap was, sign them the long-term deal, but that would have put them in mediocrity forever. But he was absolutely right. Now, the treatment of Jerry Krause, that was wrong. I will give you that. I will give you that all the way because guess what? I mean, I wouldn't like nobody telling me, walking around here, what are them pills you got? Them short pills or them diet pills? So it's a lot of little mean things, and some stuff didn't even make it to the press. I'll never forget this article that he said about Jerry Krause. Go watch Top 5 Reasons You Can't Blame Jerry Krause on ESPN. Top 5 Reasons You Can't Blame. And I never forget something that Scottie Pippen had said that he told Jerry Krause. He said, Jerry, there's a lot, you can go fishing. There's a lot of lakes out here, man. You can always go fishing. He said, don't worry if you catch anything, your ass can always eat the bait. So, just little ribs and stuff like that. And if it wasn't for Jerry Krause, there's no team that's good around Michael. But
Okay,
Krause was not good. He was always treated as an outsider. But that's the one thing you could hold against him. But everything
you could hold against Michael for what he did to Steve Kerr. Remember when he punched him?
Yeah.
That was totally unnecessary. I mean, come on, Michael.
It's totally unnecessary, but look, I'm gonna just be real. I play sports all the time. I boxed, I did MMA, I played offensive line and stuff like that. You get in fights with teammates just like you get into fist. Look, I've gotten into fist fights with my friends. We've been friends ever since. So you get into fist fights with your friends where you have a very, very strong disagreement. Granted, it shouldn't get that far, but guess what? You do that, you shake hands, you call, and you squash it from there. But like I say,
what about Horace Grant?
What about Horace? What did he say about Horace Grant again?
Do you remember when Horace Grant talked about a story? The flight attendant, they were serving food, the rest of the team food. Michael told the flight attendant, don't serve him anything because he played like shit.
Yeah, and guess who did the same thing to his team? Jimmy Johnson did the same thing when it came to the Dallas Cowboys. Watch the documentary. He did the same thing. So guess what? It always takes that one. And what was Jimmy Johnson when he played for, when he was coaching for it? He was a butthole. Like I stated, it takes that one guy in order to lead a group. You can't always lead with kindness. A lot of people don't respect. Look, if I've learned anything from the man who raised me, you can't always lead with kindness and kumbaya and stuff like that. Sometimes you got to come in there and have a full-fledged bite.
Orange, I'm not saying we have to kiss and make up and do all that type of shit. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But just like you, I got kids. Just like you, I have a family. And at the end of the day, I'm a man just like you. And I don't care whether you like me. I don't give a fuck if you like me. But I won't let you disrespect me, no matter how great or valuable you are. And the thing I hate about it with Jordan is he gets a pass for it, kind of like in some way like Brady. If any other athlete had done that, what would we be saying? Unless if they had the credentials like Michael Jordan had. I just don't like it because I'm a firm believer. We don't have to be kind. I can understand what you're saying, Chip, but at the end of the day, I look at somebody, I treat somebody with respect. We don't have to be friends. We don't have to be buddies. But you a man like me, I'm gonna treat you with the respect, just like how you would treat me. And that's it. We're gonna handle our business. We're gonna take our work seriously, but I'm not gonna treat you like you less than.
Yeah. And I agree with that 100%. Probably, I'm going to just be real. The reason why, I'm going to just put it out there, the reason why I am the way I am is because guess what? The man who raised me was exactly the opposite. He was very, very stern, very, very no nonsense. I told you about the suits and the clothes. I told people about that. He was very no nonsense. And when he said something, people listened regardless of that. And guess what? His leadership style was unlike mine. I always, hey, we come in, let's lead with kindness and stuff like that. Let's lead with that. When he saw people was not listening, it's time to get the cables out. And that's what he used to call it.
I understand that, Chap. I understand if people not taking their job, their shit seriously, if they're just goofing around and stuff like that. Yeah. I understand that. But if people are taking their work seriously, and if they're doing the best they can, then I believe you can criticize them, but don't belittle them to the point that they're less than.
Yeah.
Another person's trash is another person's treasure.
Hey man, look, my dad told me, this right here. People always say one man's trash is another man's treasure, but people will gladly dump their wasteland upon you. Don't let them do it. And that's the absolute truth. Just because somebody look, and he always used to tell me this, somebody else threw that shit away for a reason. Let's just be real. Somebody threw that shit away for a reason. So don't be Captain blank, blank, blank and going out there thinking that you finna get it and turn it into something because you got the magic touch. They put it outside for a reason. Leave it alone. He told me that when I was walking outside and I saw somebody threw out a pair of autographed Everlast boxing gloves.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that one day. I was gonna go over there and get them. He said, "Hey, champ, leave that shit alone." I said, "Pop, you know they autograph them. Leave that shit alone. Get up out of there." Lo and behold, the very next day, the trash man picked them up. It was maggots in there. So guess what? Again, and that goes back to what he said. Everybody's talking about one man's trash is another man's treasure, but guess what? People will gladly dump their toxic waste upon you, and they're looking for a sucker to dump it on. And there's one more in every minute, so be careful about that.
Well, also Shannon Sharp did say, "Be careful about the toes." I can't remember exactly the toes you step in. They'll lead into the butt. I can't remember the exact
toes you step on that'll lead to the butt that you have to kiss later on down the line. And again, like I stated, I agree. But when you are as big, but I'm gonna just be real. When you're as big as Michael Jordan, I'm the damn toe, the hip, and the feet. So guess what? I ain't gotta kiss nobody's ass. I'm just being real. So the thing,
but did you say that with Bill Cartwright? Because Bill Cartwright, it got to a point in which Bill Cartwright even had to come check you, to which I didn't have a problem with what Bill Cartwright did.
Like I stated, I don't conduct business a certain way, but like I stated, when it comes to it, I don't have no problem with it. Well, you got to check somebody, you got to check them. That's the thing. It goes both ways. You saw he never did that shit again, didn't it?
Would he do that to Charles Oakley?
Hell no.
And we all know how he and Oakley are tight.
Yeah, they tight. But guess what? He would, like Jordan stated earlier, Jake Jordan used to state, even when he did the 2K interview, when he was on the cover of 2K, he said, look, people always have this common misconception about me and Charles. Me and Charles Oakley used to argue just like anybody else. Matter of fact, we argued even worse because we was best friends. And when we played against each other, this dude would try to take my damn head off, and we'd go out afterwards, have a beer, and laugh about it after the damn game. So, and he said, even when I didn't take him out to dinner, he still do the same thing. Even when Beers was on him, he do the same thing. When you have a relationship, it's gonna always be Stone Cold and Vince, a prime example. When you have a relationship, it's not gonna be always roses and stone. It's not gonna be all.
No, I'm not saying it has to be roses. I'm not asking for that. Obviously, we're gonna have problems. We're gonna have differences, but not to the point in which it destroys or jeopardizes. Remember, I brought up the T.O. example. Sorry to take too much of your time, BRF. Remember when T.O. talked about the story in which the Eagles, remember the Browns or the Giants game, in which he ran the route, ran it through a T. Donovan didn't get him the ball. And when T.O., all he did was just ask him, hey, what happened on that play? Donovan told him, shut the fuck up. To which you even admitted that one of his teammates confirmed that Donovan had done that.
Yeah.
And my thing is, look, regardless how great you are, that doesn't mean you have a right to belittle me. That doesn't mean you have a right to disrespect me, regardless of how big you are. And that's the problem that I have. If LeBron, look, you don't hear that with LeBron. Say whatever you want about LeBron. You don't hear that with Bron.
No.
You don't hear that with any other athlete. Tom. Do you hear Tom belittle people like that? Heck, even Tom allowed Antonio Brown to come live with him.
Yeah.
And we know for a fact we damn sure don't want Antonio Brown at our place, given all them issues.
He can't sleep outside in the tent at my house. I'm just being real. Probably, I'm just gonna be real. Probably because, and here's why I have no problem with the strong leadership, the strong style leadership, rather than it. I'm more lighthearted. When I was a manager, when I became a section leader in the Army, I was a little bit more lighter. But I got used to strong leadership, as far as that hard-nosed stuff at a young age. My father was in the Army. As I got older, then my mentor was Mr. Hall. God rest his soul. When I was in middle school, Coach Walter. All of those was real strong personalities and very strong leadership. As I got older, then I went to high school. Then it was Colonel Whitley, Coach Bell. Those guys were mentoring me. They was very hard-nosed. Finally went to the Army. Drill Sergeant Felici, Drill Sergeant Walls. Those guys would teach me. They had a very hard-nosed approach. Went from there. Got with Sergeant Eberhart, Sergeant Price, First Sergeant Howard, all those guys, they had a very no-nonsense approach. So when I went, so throughout my life, although I was a goof-off type of guy, and I'm very light when it comes to stuff, guess what? Those guys' strong leadership influenced me. So guess what? When somebody gets to yelling and shit like that, I don't let that stress me out because it's like, okay, I've dealt with this since I was a child. My dad was, I know how I feel. Just like Shaquille O'Neal. Look at Shaquille O'Neal. It's like me and him, we have a lot of similarities. It's
yeah, I wonder why you love him so much. That's why I always call you the big fella, because again, you always joke about yourself all the time.
So Sergeant Philip Harris was just like my damn dad. Very hard-nosed, no nonsense. You bring your ass in this house with some bullshit, we gonna take it outside. So I'm really, look, when it comes to guys like Michael Jordan, I got used to that type of leadership up until I was like 28 years old when I finally got out of the Army. It wasn't until after I left the Army. Well, I will say this. In the Army, we did have a guy by the name of Sergeant Price and Sergeant Roundtree. They were very lighthearted. And Eberhart, he's a little bit more lighthearted. But a lot of those guys were no nonsense. So you had to adjust. It's like, yeah, they gonna curse the hell out of us and they gonna, call us all types of shit, but get this shit done so we can get up out of here and we ain't got to deal with them. So that's the thing. So I got used, when it comes to Mike, I was used to that type of style of leadership, that real hard nose. I'm grinding on you very hard. I'm gonna ride you to the core. I was used to that leadership at an early age. And like I said, one of my best friends since I was 12, he gave me, to this day, he gives me the toughest time, man. Why you ain't did this yet? Why you ain't did that yet, man? You can do it. Yes, I'm used to that type of leadership. So that shit don't bother me. At times, I laugh it off and say, all right, whatever. And then
but that's because you're playful and joyful, Chip. But here's the thing, not everyone's the same as you. So you gotta understand how to communicate with other people. And again, before we let BRF go, one last thing. I will say this. You've helped me out a lot, because a lot of times I take myself too damn seriously. You said it yourself. Hey, God will find a way to humble those who do take themselves too damn seriously.
Yeah, not just that. It's just like, look, people would do. Look, I'm gonna just be real. The reason I tell people I don't take myself too serious. I make fun of myself and stuff like that, because guess what? When people see that they can trigger you, they will. If they see that you have something sensitive about yourself that they can tickle and they can try to poke at, they will. So that's why I make fun of myself. Like, you can't make me mad by calling me fat. You can't make me mad by calling me big. I call myself big. You can't make me mad by saying I need to eat a damn salad. I know I need to eat a salad, and I'm gonna go get one at Country's Barbecue tomorrow. And I'm gonna get all type of meat and cheese and damn eggs. And I'm gonna get extra fat on that just to make you mad and eat it right in front of you. That's the thing. When people look, when you take yourself serious, people see that they can trigger you. And that's what that's how come I don't take stuff too serious. When people see that they can trigger you, and I learned this in the Army. I learned this from my father. When people see that they can trigger you, they will try their damn luck with it. Oh, let's see how this old serious motherfucker take itself. Let's pick at it a little bit. Yeah. And they'll see how they can do that. Now, if they come to you and they see they can't mess with you, guess what? They leave you alone pretty quick. Or they go, or they scared that, hey, this dude kind of unserious. I might want to watch my step because I might catch a right. So that's the thing. When people come to you and they see that you are very easily, when you're serious, people think you're triggered easily. And so guess what? They try to do stuff in order to trigger you. And when they see that they can't trigger you, then guess what? They take all that bullshit somewhere else. So that's why I say I don't take stuff too seriously, because guess what? You're not going to come around here and try to trigger me. Probably because you can't. Who's
going to trigger a guy who's 6'1", 350?
You'll be surprised. Look, man, people poke the bear every single day where I'm from. People, this is the state of Georgia. People don't fight no more. I'm just being real. People try to poke the bear, but the thing,
yeah,
people will look, even in middle school, even in high school, when they see that you can laugh and you can take a joke, guess what? People probably more than likely times out of 10, they'll crack a joke, but they'll move on to the next person who can get up under their skin. That's like I'm gonna take shit too serious. If you can't take a joke, you can't laugh at yourself. You can't just say, you know what, man, fuck that motherfucker. I ain't got nothing. What you eat don't make me shit. I'm like, man, fuck you. If you can't say that, sometimes it's like, you know what, man, people are gonna continue to poke the bear. And you got to think about this. Where people like us are going at a certain place, guess what? Where, especially you, PSP, when you get up there to the big leagues, there are gonna be a lot of motherfuckers coming around here thinking they can trigger you because of how smart you are, because of how brilliant you are, and because of how if you let you saw how what's the guy's name? Not Adrian. What's the guy's name? The
who you
comedy,
referring to?
huh?
Which person you referring to? I don't know who you're talking about.
ESPN, the kind of heavyset guy who used to
Damian Woody?
no, the white dude,
What white dude?
Ron Windhurst. You see how easygoing he is. The dude got put a camera in his face right after
Oh,
the New
Ron
York
Woody.
game. Yeah, you see how easygoing he was going. And how the
yeah,
dude put the camera in his face after the New York game. Said, "I thought you said we was gonna lose." Pussy. Yeah.
but that doesn't really bother me as much, Champ. My problem is with people on social media is when they say derogatory things about my appearance and then even going as far as questioning my sexuality, which that is totally irrelevant. You know, people on social media have questioned my sexuality, to which I've even had. I don't fuck up, but I'm like, why are you bringing that up? Like, what? Because of my hair? Because of how I dress?
Hey,
I
you know
don't
what?
get it.
I have a smart ass mouth, and I thank God that you don't. I have a smart ass mouth, and you know, I be to told somebody, "Why don't you bring your mama over here? We can see how really gay I can get." So I mean, we can see how. So you know, bring your mama and your sister over here. We can see how gay it can get. So that's just how I look at things. I have a smart ass mouth, by the way, and I can cut some shit down. So when people make fun of that shit, yeah, you could go ahead and make fun of it. But just remember, your mama plays the chocolate factory every day, baby, and I'm willing to give it to her. So you can question a lot of things. But yeah, hey,
That's too much. That's too much now.
hey, look, but I'm just saying, look, it's called a clapback, my friend.
Okay.
Hey, when people start clapping, clap back, baby. That's all you got to do. There's the great word of a great man named John Lee Pride. There's a lot of good ways to get motherfuckers up off you. No, look, these folks do not know you. They don't know your values. They don't know what you stand for. They don't know you from a man from a they don't know you from Adam. So fucked a lot of them. And hey, look, like I always say, mother made them, motherfucker. They don't know you. They don't know what you them all.
That's just way too much information, but I appreciate it. And to add on to it on an update, I want to give a quick update. The Bengals defeated the Steelers 33-31. Joe Flacco 31-47, 342 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jamar Chase 16 receptions for 161 yards and a touchdown. A lot of shit that we just had to reveal, but BRF, Michael Jordan.
How we go? How we go from the term? How we go from the side of Michael?
Tell them down south you got to know how to clap back, baby.
There's no. I am going.
You right. You were 1,000% correct, right? But I was just like, boy, this went from Babyface Hill, Michael Jordan to goddamn, what was that, the little boy? Okay.
Hey man, look, I'm a Babyface Hill in my own right, baby.
Mm-hmm.
But MJ is MJ's a. I think his aura. I think his aura makes him like a tweener, like his full on aura, because it's like aura is just whether I mean, you know what I'm saying, whether getting in fights in practice with like Steve Kerr or like other teammates not really feeling them, like and like stuff, and then the kind of situations he got off into off the court, like the gambling stuff and everything like that, and it was apparently, I don't know if it's a rumor or true or not, but apparently and some people were saying his father, God rest his soul, was killed because of gambling debt. So I mean, it's like just so much I think like the entire personality, the entire just Michael Jordan image itself. I think you have to. For me, he's a tweener as well. Now I'll say this much. Like y'all brought up the fact that he has been more involved in terms of like his his philanthropy, as far as like endeavors of that nature, speaking more on social topics, um just trying to engage and be more personable, whether it's media, whether it's fans or things of that nature. He has been doing he's done a lot better job of that lately, post retirement or whatnot. So he's he's trying to do the vital and necessary good for himself to kind of show, hey, I'm not that I'm not that killer on the court who would just so laser focus on basketball. He didn't really want to discuss or talk about anything else. Like he knows now, especially like having the experience of being an owner of an NBA franchise, and just he has a family, and just things have been going on. He understands the image that he needs to really kind of put out there, not only for the people that see him, but really for himself, because he knows everything that he's going through. So he just wants to make everything, he wants to do he wants to do the best that he can. He wants to live his life the best that he can while he's still alive, while he's still kicking. Because I mean, I still have Michael Jordan as a GOAT. I have him as the greatest. I have him as the greatest NBA basketball player of all time. I have him as a GOAT. Still do to this day. I know everybody's not going to agree with that, but you know what? It's my opinion. Yeah, I think the full on ambiance and aura of Michael Jordan really does make him a tweener, because they're things that he did on the court that some teammates will respect and some teammates don't like. There's some things off the court that a lot of people are going to be like, man, I can't believe he was involved in this and all this other stuff. So people are going to get to talking about a guy like Michael Jordan. I think if Michael Jordan was in his prime today, we talk about how we talk about LeBron as far as his popularity or as far as his reputation, as far as like, as far as stuff like that. Like Mike in today's social media era, as good as he was, like at his peak, he's one of the most polarizing figures in sports media now, and he's been retired for over 20 years. Imagine if we got peak Michael Jordan this time in this time of history, boy, it'd be some of the craziest stuff we've ever read. So, his aura and how polarizing he's always been, whether he was a rookie or getting ready to retire from the Wizards or just now. I mean, just everything about him. There are gonna be some things you love about him. There are gonna be some things you don't like about him. Like I said, that's just my measure. But as far as like this segment as being a tweener, there's stuff that people are gonna like and gonna admire about you. There's stuff that people aren't going to admire about you. So I don't know. Like I have him I have him as a tweener, but I respect everything that he's done. A lot of the things that he's done post retirement, and particularly kind of getting out in the open and really being personable as far as like things that are going on in the world, because he knows our generation still looks up to him. Younger kids look at Mike, and there are some younger kids that look at Mike and just admire his greatness, like from the highlights and everything they show, whether it's YouTube or just things like that. They respect him. So he still, even though I do have him as a tweener, I feel like it's his aura that does it, but yet he still commands respect in a way like you said, kind of God, like, what I'm saying, it's Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? They call, Larry Bird called him Jesus Christ in basketball shoes. I mean, what more can you say? What more can you say about him? So,
That was
but
like
yeah,
God out there.
he's sure man, yeah. So but yeah, Mike's a tweener. Mike's a tweener for me.
Dwayne, that is why you break that shit. But I can't be talking the way the way I just went into unsafe.
You got classic Mike Tyson stories.
Yeah.
Remember him and Fat Joe?
Yeah. Oh man.
Then let's not forget Brad Pitt.
Yeah, because Robin Givens.
Mm-hmm. All right, next one. Snoop.
Oh, Babyface, man. Not because look, I'm gonna just be real. A lot of times you're not gonna be able to please everybody. But as far as Snoop, man, he's put more kids in the NFL through his programs, kept a lot of kids from going down the same path that he did. Learned from his mistakes by, overcoming the case that he had at the beginning of his career. Show young men what they can be. Signed one of the top artists from my hometown in the form of Tony Armani. Signed him. Shout out to him. Marshall alumnus, Carver alumnus. So as far as the great things that he's done, you really can't discount that. I mean, the way he showed up for the kids at USC, the way he has the Mother's Day things, do things for needy families. Like I stated earlier, remember the case he had on him at the first part of his career. I know people are not going to remember or are not going to forget what he did as far as, the performance is concerned, but that's one thing versus a million. I understand that 1,000 attaboys are erased by one all shit, but still, it doesn't erase what you did for these young kids. It doesn't erase what you've done for your community. It doesn't erase what you did as far as bringing up young artists is concerned, and it doesn't erase you as far as being the father that you were. Especially, we saw the show with him and his son. How his son was playing football, he was trying to be there for them, kind of be the father that he never had.
ESPN one, yeah.
Yeah, C.J. Stroud. There, C.J. Stroud was part of one of Snoop's teams.
Deshaun Jackson too.
Sean Jackson. A lot of these young kids that are in the NFL right now that came out of California was part of Snoop's programs. And so, yeah, I mean, changed the record business, changed the way football. And look, he didn't just become a football coach. Guess who else became a football coach? Uncle Luke became a football coach. A lot of his kids became NFL players. So I understand people are going to remember the explicit lyrics that he stated or what have you, but you got to understand something. Those guys aren't living those same lives that they're portraying on the vinyl that they're doing. A lot of these guys, when they're saying a lot of things about certain things, remember they're model citizens in their hometowns, they're model citizens at their communities, and they're model citizens in their household. And Snoop is probably a prime example of that, because you ain't never seen, ever since that case got thrown out and he beat that case back when he was young, you ain't heard about him in no trouble since. The only thing he's tried to do is influence the youth and do things like that. So guess what? That whole performance, you could do one thing wrong and you could wipe your behind sideways and people will start criticizing you about it. So yeah, one thing doesn't erase what you did as far as a whole. You took kids out of the neighborhoods, you gave them hope, you was able to mentor them in order to get them into the NFL, to get them into colleges. And guess what? That's just what you did on the field as a whole. You shifted your music from being that gangster style type of music after you got from that murder case and shifted to a more party, more grooving, vibing type of music. So that shows me right off there that you learned your lesson from how that gangster lifestyle can get you in trouble. And you've spoken to the youth about the situation that you have been in. So guess what? Just because you perform for the president or what have you, guess what? It is what it is. Chalk it up to the game. You got paid. That's what you were supposed to do. You're an entertainer. Guess what? You are an entertainer. That doesn't make you any less involved with the community or any less involved with anybody. That's it. And, people are going to say what they want to say, but that doesn't erase anything. Hey, there's a lot of people who are around me who make mistakes. That doesn't erase what they've been to me. that doesn't erase what they've been to me. And you can only judge a person how they do in a totality of things, not by one thing. And remember, in the last election, he was the main one standing up saying stuff, and people were saying stuff about him then. And look, people are going to say what they would like to say about modesty and not being cocky. But look, if we really respected respectability and, you know, being PC, being politically correct, then we would respect Travis Hunter for what he did this past weekend in the form of getting baptized. Instead, you have guys like Skip Bayless going on his platform criticizing him because he did it right before a game. So, yeah, if we really respected morals, respectability, and stuff like that, we would applaud these young men and old men when they go out here and try to instill something in the youth that was never instilled onto them. But instead, guess what? We pick out one thing, we harp on it, and we call them certain names that, guess what, shouldn't necessarily be called. But the thing is, that doesn't erase all the stuff that he's done for the youth. And the things that what he's did for the youth alone, giving them hope, putting guys in the NFL, getting them into college and stuff like that. Not to mention what he's done with his own family. I have to put him as a babyface.
Yeah, I agree, Babyface as well. And look, just because, regardless of whatever relationship he has with President Trump, let's be clear. We all love and admire The Undertaker. He's a Trump. He voted for Trump. He had him on his pod. Mike Tyson. We already know about the situation with Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
So just because you vote for Trump, that doesn't necessarily make you a racist, a sellout, or anything. Although I do ask myself why. But hey, to each his own. Well, obviously, well, we know why, but other things as well too. But yeah, Snoop, everything he's done. I mean, ever since the murder trial, and ever since what he's done for the football programs, keeping young kids off the streets, help giving back to his communities, doing a lot of great things. So you got to give Snoop credit on that. BRF.
I'm a little more torn about the situation. I mean, it's mainly because, like, before he did the performance at the White House, he did kind of speak up against anybody who could have potentially performed for him and all that stuff for that matter. And then he followed and proceeded to do it himself. But I will say, I guess I'll go along with it. No, I'll say tweener closer to Babyface. I know it's kind of it's one of those situations that's like, I don't know, you don't know. I mean, you talk about it, it's like you're not really sure how to talk about it, how to approach it. It's just like, yeah, because like I said, you know, I look at stuff like that. I kind of look at stuff like that from like from a political kind of perspective. Like, you know, it's one of those where it's like, don't, you know what I'm saying, if you're gonna criticize people, you know, if they have an idea of want to do, you know, do certain things and stuff like that, and like, if you're gonna criticize them, you got to make sure you hold your feet to the fire and don't mess around and kind of fall into that, you know, that trap. I'll say Babyface too. I'll agree. It's just that, you know, there's a couple of things that's in the media that he said that's like, but you know what? He's given back, like the football program, like, you know, his entrepreneurship and everything he's done. Dudes in the freaking WWE Hall of Fame, for God's sake. You know, the show with Martha Stewart. Still to this day, one of the coolest concepts I've ever seen in a television show. Him and Martha Stewart. Like, come on, man.
Hey, you want to talk about the perfect chemistry of vanilla and chocolate? Look no further than Martha and Snoop.
And see you over here talk about me.
Please, we all know.
It's like,
why do you think the ladies call you the love chocolate?
Hey man, the love of man.
Right. And like you wouldn't expect the show built off of something like that to work. But it did.
Whoever
So it's
thought Ice
like
Cube would make kid movies?
shh.
I mean,
Mm.
Ice Cube, I think there's a common misconception about Ice Cube, man. I think, like I said earlier, I think people need to understand this. These guys was a family man. These guys were family men at the end of the day. And the thing is, during his time at NWA,
Yeah, we all
Ice
know. We know, champ. Unlike most of them who were partying and having a good time, he was with his girl, and now they've been married for over 30 years.
and he was hitting them books. He was while he was in NWA, he was getting his architecture degree. He was planning on being an architect and using his money in order to build homes and stuff like that, build real estate and stuff like that. Yeah,
And
these
then
guys
he later,
were
and then
just
later
dumb
on, he
guys.
converted the Nation of Islam. He became a Muslim.
Yes. And guess what? These guys, look, a lot of these rappers, they portray themselves to be just like me. I have a character that I play on this show, but these are not dumb guys. These are smart guys. These guys, Suge Knight graduated from UNLV. A lot of these guys graduated from college. They hit the books. They are smart businessmen. So they have business degrees. A couple of these guys who own these record labels, as far as the, rap, they had MBAs, you know, business management degrees, master's degrees. So a lot of these guys are smart men, but because of their aura, you would never have realized that.
I'm sorry, champ. I got distracted. I'm looking at what you mentioned with Skip Bayless and Travis Hunter. I don't know what the hell Skip Bayless mentioned. Why? Look to make look. RG3 is making sense. So when RG3, or better known as Bob Griffin, BRF, if he's making sense, what is that to say?
I mean, look,
I know I'm digressing.
look, it's all right, man. Hell, hey man, this your house. We just guessed. Just being real. But I'm just gonna be real. When it gets to the point where you can't even praise the Lord and you can't even get baptized in peace, and people are criticizing you for getting baptized.
And he thinks it's a stunning indication that his head is not where it's supposed to be. He feels like his head's supposed to be at football.
You know what? When it comes between the Lord and football, I'm saying fuck football every day of the week. I'm just being real. I can make it without football. I can make it without football. I can't make it without the Lord. So Skip Bayless, he can say whatever he would like to. The thing is, guess what? For him to go out there, people can criticize Travis Hunter all he wants to, all they want to. You might not like the person who he married. You might not like his way. You may not like his wife or whatever, but he did it the right way. He didn't go out here creating a broken home. He got married. He had a baby. He did it the right way. His wife got baptized. He got baptized. They're trying to build a good Christian home together. So guess what? By conventional wisdom, that's the right way to do it, is it not? So for you to say that I am not doing anything and I'm distracted because I want to put the Lord in front of my life, you must be a damn devil.
It's just embarrassing. And look, just because he decided to get baptized, look, that's his choice. If that's what he wants to do, if he wants to have a closer connection with God, who is going to judge him or shame him?
Again,
it's preposterous.
A young man just passed away a couple of weeks ago, and they admired him because he had strong Christian conviction. So all of a sudden, when this young man goes out here to get baptized and do the right thing and have the courage to do the right thing, you're going to criticize him for getting baptized. You must be, if you criticizing somebody for trying to get close to the Lord, you must be a devil.
It is. Although, champ, but look, and again, I want to be very clear because again, I'm not the most religious person in the world. I do believe in God. I do have a problem sometimes how people who are Christians, how they cherry pick the Bible and all the stuff. That's my problem.
Yeah,
but if he wants to get baptized, why? Again, it's Skip Bayless, and yes, I know you're laughing, champ, because I'm reading the.
Dwayne, come on, bro. Come on, dog.
Well, I mean, he's older than horse manure, but that's a story for another day.
Again, the young man is trying to do something the right way. I
On the
mean,
third.
you getting baptized and I'm getting criticized for being baptized? You mean to tell me that I can follow the Lord and do the right thing and you're still going to criticize me? So it doesn't matter if I act like Sador Sanders and be cocky. It doesn't matter if I act like Angel Reese and be cocky and unapologetic. I can be as humble as I can be. You not hear a peep out of me, and I go get baptized in my spare time, but you're still going to criticize me. That is the reason why I always tell these young guys I do not believe in humble pie. If you're cocky or you're arrogant, be that way because you're going to get criticized regardless. Because if you can get, I still cannot get over that. You get
Champ. It's Skip Bayless.
No, it wasn't just Skip. Remember, the reporter asked him, "Why would you do that?"
But because it's Skip Bayless, Champ, look at his history. History will always repeat itself.
No, it wasn't just him. It was the reporter that asked Travis Hunter that questioned as well. It was
I know,
but
I know another reporter, but Champ, Skip. Look, this is the same Skip Bayless who got confronted by Deion Sanders. We don't need to get any further with the whole Troy Aikman situation. We know that. This is who Skip Bayless is, man. I am not surprised with this at all. It's ridiculous, but again, in the words of Maya Angelou, when someone shows you who they are the first time, believe them. This ain't the first time with Skip Bayless. You know that.
I have never thought in a big look. The thing is, the reason why I harp on this is because that should be deemed, and it is. I'm just going to put it out there. That's the right thing to do. I never thought in a million years that you can have a story in athletics about a man getting criticized for getting baptized. I have never heard of something like that. I mean, you criticize somebody for going out there and punching somebody, kicking somebody, flattening somebody's tires, smoking, drinking, doing all type of crazy crap. You criticize a young man for getting baptized? Bro, the end of days is coming, boy. I'm just being real.
Champ, as Don King once said, only in America.
Bro, look, hey, BRF, you cannot convince me because you know we stay in the Bible Belt. You cannot convince me that the end of days is not coming when this man got on God's internet and criticized another man for getting baptized. Guess what? Look, you better start taking your vitamins and saying your prayers quick, because boy, I tell you this, the rapture coming. If men are getting criticized for going to get baptized, some stuff finna go seriously wrong with this world, not just this country.
All right, yo. We get one last person for Babyface here. We gotta try to keep it real short and quick. Real short and quick with this one. Controversial one. Riley Cooper.
Oh man. You know what? I'll say tweener, and I'll keep it short and sweet because guess what? When somebody vouches for you and you make amends, guess what? I understand. It doesn't excuse the behavior and what you did, but I get it. And especially when Mike Vick vouches for you and says that, you know, hey, I talked to him, we had a conversation about it. And a lot of times I will be very, very honest with you. A lot of times it's not because of the R word. It just, a lot of people get so caught up in certain things. They think it's okay to say certain stuff when it really is not. A lot of times it's not just, you know, somebody's racist. It's like you get so caught up in music. You get so caught up in all of this other stuff that you think it's okay to say something when it ain't. We have conversations about what it's okay to say and what's not okay to say all the time.
We had these conversations all the time.
When it comes to certain things, you know, and we're not going to say about the scope of that conversation, but like I say, I'm real light about it, but you always emphasize, hey, because you know I'm not going to say it, but you know, hey, man, guys got to check themselves about what they say. But a lot of times people get so caught up about what they saying, they doing in private and stuff like that, and they don't think there's anything wrong with it. But you know, when Vic comes out and he vouches for you and you clean up your act, okay, cool. I mean, look, sometimes the first impression is not the best impression. Sometimes you got to clean yourself up and go back into the building.
Tweener, and for those who may not understand what Champ is referring to, he's regarding to the 2013 incident in which Riley Cooper, he was caught on camera. I believe it was at a country music concert. The name of the artist was Kenny Chesney.
Mm-hmm.
He was drunk and he used the N-word with the ER at the end. He did apologize. He was out for like a weekend. And it's regarding Skip Bayless, Champ, because ironically, Skip Bayless actually wanted Riley Cooper gone for the sake of the locker room. Because again, he talked about how the players in the locker room, majority of them are black. He felt like you burned the bridge. As far as with Michael Vick, and you mentioned Michael Vick, Chad, but at the same time, people are going to look at it and say, what else is Michael Vick supposed to say? You're the quarterback, you're the leader of the team, and you can't say anything negative about it because remember, Michael, let's not forget your transgressions, your off-the-field issues. So for Michael Vick, he had no other choice but to say that.
Oh, you sure? Because the thing is, remember, Bill Romanowski spit on somebody. Did Shannon Sharp back him up?
No. But after having the conversation about it, they forget to move on. But you know how the media is, Champ. And you always tell me you can't do what the white men do and think you can keep your job. Yeah. Mike Vick knew, look, if I say anything negative, if I say anything to condemn the young man, people in the media and the public are going to say, wait a minute, Mike, you're a firm believer of second chances. You went to prison. Not just any prison, Leavenworth. You, of all people, should know that, Champ.
Yeah, Fort Leavenworth ain't no joke. But, I mean, look, I'll say
the media, the media, it would be a constant distraction because they'll say, wait a minute, Michael Vick, a convicted felon, telling somebody he should not be on the team, criticizing someone for their on or off the field issues, and Riley Cooper deserved to be criticized for it. Yeah. And just because, and I don't care if he was drunk. Hey. There's no excuse to me there's no excuse for you to be spewing that word.
Hey, but drunk men speak conscious minds.
Yes. But as a human being, I will forgive and I will move on. And look, Champ, I am very big. I told you before this. I'm not cool with people using the N-word.
No, I don't even use it around you, and we the same race. I don't even use it around you. I use it around my other homies, but I don't use that around you because you know I respect that boundary.
Look, the only reason why I chose not to say the N-word and why I try my best not to say it on the show is because my therapist, who also watches my pod from time to time, she told me about the importance of that word. That is a word used to insult our ancestors. Now, and I don't want white people thinking that because I use the N-word to someone who also is black, it's acceptable. Because it's not, because they're going to think it's cool to use the N-word when it's not. And I'm sorry, to some women, not all, not most, but to some women, I don't like it when they call each other the B word. Yeah. Because imagine if someone like me, you, Champ, or BRF, or any other man call them that. Either they be ready to fight, or they get someone to fight on their behalf.
Yeah. Well, there's no aid. Don't be surprised. There's some women out here that put two hot ones in you too. So, they put two hot ones in you sometimes, But to your point, yeah, you're absolutely right. But like I stated, I mean, if you're able to move on, I mean, the thing is, one of the same things happened with Deshaun Jackson when he was playing.
The tweet. And I'm glad you mentioned that. The tweet regarding Hitler. But the Eagles, they decided to keep Deshaun Jackson. And I understand. Because wait a minute, Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, who are Jewish, you kept Riley Cooper, given what he said. And a certain group of players who are black had issue with it. Yeah. But they decided to forgive and move on. and allow Riley Cooper to be on the team. If you can do that, you can do this with Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah. And I agree 100%. But like I said, I mean, I think once Vic kind of made amends with it and things like that, it was like, okay, you're a tweener. Because like I stated, you do something and look, you do something and you never do it again, it's a mistake. If you do something and it keeps occurring, it's a choice. So yeah, that's why I label him a tweener. So yeah, that's just me though.
No, that's fair. BRF.
Well, no, before I go, I just got to say real quick. Shoot, I'm just looking at the highlights of the Rockets and the Hawks real quick. I'm sorry. I'm still getting used to looking at Kristaps Porzingis in the freaking Hawks jersey. It's one of the craziest things I didn't expect to see. It's wild. But um he if Michael Vick didn't vouch for that man, he would have been stone cold lock heel if Michael Vick didn't vouch for that man for me. Um when other I guess you, when other people kind of when people that are around a person give you a perspective and they tell you what they know, they tell you what they experience, and they talk about how they feel about the person. If they do it in a glowing light, you do gain some understanding, and you do see you're not as quick to judge. You don't want to go down those same roads and those same levels as far as like being judgmental towards people. And I guess what separates, like, I mean, I don't want to go into it, but I feel like I should go into it a little bit. It's like the so-called Christians out there that use their beliefs just to spew hate and rhetoric that should not be spewed. That's not really what a true Christian really stands for. Because I'm a Baptist, and like you see a lot of these radical Christians talking about this and that, and it's like, I can't believe here I am as a Baptist person myself having to be lumped in with you because we both believe in we both believe in him. And it's just it's sad. It's sad, and it's almost pathetic. But yeah, Riley, I'll say tweener just solely off the fact that Michael Vick probably saved him a lot of face, because he wasn't really, because he was a good receiver in college, and he was decent with the Eagles. But then it's like that clip came out, and drunk or not, it came out his mouth, and it's like, dude, like what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, homeboy, you play in the NFL, man. You have a lot of nerve to say something like that, playing in the NFL, especially being on the team with the Philadelphia Eagles, who are yeah, it's a lot of us. It's always been a lot of us on the Philadelphia Eagles. So like you had some nerve to say something like that, and then it come out. So, but yeah, I'm not gonna harp on it too long. Like Michael Vick, or someone as genuine and as good a dude as Mike Vick is, if he vouched for you, the only thing I say is there better be something about you if Michael Vick vouched for you. So I'll I'll go tweener for this conversation. But yeah, like I said, Mike Vick, a guy, somebody like Michael Vick could save you some face in a heartbeat. Yeah. So I'm gonna go tween. I'll give him tweener. But like I said, he was, I don't know, just I don't know. I've never been a huge fan of the word. I don't like saying it myself either. And it's just kind of pathetic. You look at it, and it's like, you ask yourself, out of all the words in the English Webster's dictionary that you want to fight before, that you want to be all mad and upset of, that you can't say, you pick that word. Like, come on. But it's just the time. It's the times we live in. It's just crazy.
Well, some generations after generations, they look at it as it's just a word, as a term of endearment, but they don't understand the true culture. The true context of that word. And look, I tried my best not to use that term because I don't like it, even if it's a term of endearment. Sometimes in the group chats, when they use the word, I just delete the conversation or I move on to something else. That's what I do from time to time because I just can't stand that word. I mean, there are certain terms, certain words I don't allow. The N word, the B word, the F and the P word that's like derogatory to a certain community. I think y'all know exactly what I'm referring to. And for
Mm.
me, just as big as the N word, the R word. The one is derogatory to someone who has learning disabilities or mental disabilities. That's a trigger word for me. I have a serious problem when people use that term in front of my direction, into me, because I struggle with autism. Sometimes I struggle with my speech and vocabulary from time to time, but I have a serious problem whenever someone uses that term in front of me. I just think that's just totally unacceptable. If you want to use something else, that's fine. But to use that specific term, yeah, I have a serious problem with it. And I'm not going to pretend like, oh, it's no big deal. It is a huge deal to me. And if people tell me to toughen up, grow up, or mature, nah, you don't get to determine what's offensive to me. Just like I don't get to determine what's offensive to you.